Hi everyone, welcome to what I've learned this week. Change of location as requested by one of the watchers. And today's lesson, I guess, a little embarrassing for me. I'm a little nervous about talking about this one. I don't usually talk about my personal life personally, but here we go. My lesson today, or this week, definitely came from something that happened today, and it was my biggest lesson of the week, so I had to talk about it. It happened because basically I'd been on a date or two with somebody who, after the second date, it became very clear to me that this person just wasn't for me. Fine enough guy, I think he has a very different lifestyle than I do, and is a partier and, you know, a bit of a wild child, and although I have fun, I'm not a wild child. So I was so nervous to say this. I was terrified, but I was like, how do I say, you know, it's so funny, you hardly know someone, and yet we're always terrified of rejecting them, or as we see it, rejecting. So when we finished the date, the second date, I was like, yeah, that'd be great, I can't wait to see you again. And then I walked away and I was like, is that really what I want? So I spent a week hoping that he got the message and wasn't going to call me, and he felt the same way. A few texts passed, and then he actually did call me about meeting up again, and I was like, oh no. And then he texted me and said, I called you about meeting up again. I couldn't leave a voicemail message, so call me. And I was like, okay, I will later. And then I waited, and then the next day was today, and it was so funny. We were trading calls all day. I called him and he called me back, and then I couldn't talk, and it was like, it was being created for me that I wouldn't talk to this guy. Even when we got on the phone, he's like, oh gosh, I've got a call coming through, just hold on. And I was almost like, no, it's okay, you can call me back. And I was like, no, stay on the phone. I was so terrified about doing this. Luckily, I'd had a phone call with a friend of mine beforehand, and I said to him, I feel so bad rejecting this guy. And he said, it's not rejection, Georgia. It's not rejection if it's honesty. You're just being real. You're not right for me, I'm not right for you. Don't see it as rejection. And I was like, wow, never thought of that way. Okay. And then he was like, just embrace being honest. And I was like, okay, I'm going to embrace the honesty of this moment. So I got on the phone with this guy, and when it got to so when should we go out again? I was like, here's what I've been thinking. And I just basically tried my best without any apologetic tones or whatever to just say, I think we're very different people, and you're great, and it's not any reflection on the date. It was just that we wouldn't be right together, I don't think. And he was like a bit taken back, I guess, at first, and tried to like answer all the things. He's like, well, girlfriends don't have to drink, and blah, blah. And in the end, I was like, no, but there's more than that. I think we should just be friends. And he stopped, and he said to me, can I just thank you for your honesty? He goes, you don't understand, like, you never get this from girls. They avoid the phone call, they avoid your calls, they'll make up another story. He said, it's so nice to hear the truth and to have someone be this real. And I was like, oh, you're welcome, I guess. And then we had this like nice chat about things and talking about all the different stuff that's happening in our lives. And then he's like, well, I guess, let's hang out as friends sometime. And I was like, awesome, that'd be great. And I hung up the phone, and I felt amazing, and I felt light and free because I'd been completely honest, and it had gone okay. I'd had all these stories in my head. Once again, like that same thing of planning how something's going to be. There'd been a few stories in my head of like, he's going to get mad, or he's going to get defensive, or he's being pissed off. He was so cool about it and so grateful for my honesty more than anything. And then he even texted me later to say, I've been thinking about our conversation. I just want to thank you again for being so honest. And then he said some really nice things about me, which was like, man, how did I get this out of the deal? Like, here I woke up this morning thinking I was going to have to make this horrible conversation happen, and it ended where I felt great about myself. You just never know what's going to happen when you be honest. So it made me think, for everyone out there, how many times in our lives have we avoided conversations because we didn't want to be real with someone, or honest because we're afraid of hurting them, when in fact it could have opened an opportunity for an incredible conversation, or an incredible learning experience for someone, or just a really nice moment. And truthfully, that phone conversation was a really nice moment. So I want to challenge you guys to think about where are the conversations in your life that you've avoided having? Who are the people you haven't called or being completely honest with because you didn't want to reject them or hurt them? And think more about what great opportunity could you open up, what great moment could you have with them if you were just real and honest, and how freeing it would be for you. Because if I'd avoided seeing him or talking to him, I'd be terrified I was going to bump into him. But now that I've done this, if I see him, it's going to be great. So I challenge you, go out there, make the phone calls, say the truth to somebody, be honest with them, be real, because we want that too. We would. Have an incredible week, guys. I can't wait to hear about you being honest. Leave your comments. I always love it when you tell me how this applies to your life. And I guess I will see you again next week. Share this with your friends. And until then, have a great week.